Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. Today I'm going to show you what I got from the Chanel Spring Summer 2021 collection. I've held off doing this video for quite a while, and that's because this collection has been a bit of a piecemeal release and possibly a bit of a piecemeal collection, full stop. I know I'm not the only person to complain about how this collection has been marketed and how it's been received on the website, because of course we can't actually go into the stores to look at it or buy it. And basically, it's really kind of been drip fed onto the UK site. There is now a whole section for the spring summer collection, but there wasn't for quite a long time, and you just had to keep kind of searching through. The first piece that appeared, I'm going to say around about Christmas, New Year, and that was the blush highlighter with no fanfare at all. I just happened to notice it was there, and I kept on looking for the eye palettes, which then eventually made an appearance along with two of the nail polishes, one of which almost immediately sold out, although I know it's been restocked because I was mortified when I told one of my friends, Andre, on YouTube that it was in, and she went straight to buy it. It wasn't there. But I haven't looked as of today whether it's sold out again. And then another of the colours suddenly turned up, and suddenly they are promoting the collection. I'm aware that the eye palettes haven't reached the US at all, and you're getting two re-promotes that seem to have nothing at all to do with the colour palette of the rest of the collection at the moment, and no clear answer whether the United States will get the eye palettes that we have in Europe. I don't know what's happening in Asia. So it's all a bit of a muddle, to be frank, and it's a shame because I think most of us who are luxury, high-end makeup lovers, love all the fanfare, the expectation. We've seen some promo photographs probably, and we're just waiting for the collection to drop and want to be able to get all our pieces together, try them together, and talk about them together, whereas mine have arrived in drips and drabs over the last few weeks. Anyway, that has had some advantage in that I have been able to try a few of the products, so I can speak with a bit more knowledge than usual. Let's start with the first one that I got, which is the Fleur du Printemps, which is the name of the collection, I believe, Duo Blush and Highlighter. And this is the usual format, so the white on black logo, the little brush, which you might use at a push, and there it is, very, very prettily embossed. You can see that I'm starting to wear it away a little bit. I've probably worn it about 5 or 6 times. You can also see, I hope, that it's pretty warm colouring. So you're not getting a huge amount of product here between the two. It's 8 grams, but more than enough for most of us. I really like the highlighter. Let's do a quick finger swatch. Bear in mind, it often looks somewhat different on the cheek. You can see the highlighter is pretty warm, and it's a kind of mingled peach gold highlighter. There is a bit of colour in it. And to be honest, having experimented with applying them separately, and then separately but together, if you know what I mean, so blushing and then putting the highlighter on top, it isn't really dark enough for me to wear without a blush, just on its own. I think the best effect, certainly for me, is to swirl the two colours together and just apply them, so it's then a kind of ready illuminized blush. I would say that the blush colour, you can see, looks very pigmented when I dip finger in. It's coral, So I think a lot of people would see that as a nice spring colour. Coral always makes me feel a bit more kind of summery, to be honest. And overall, it's perhaps a bit warmer than I would go for, but it's pretty. You need to go relatively easy with a soft brush if you're pale, but it's going to show up on darker complexions as well. So probably a good tone choice for a variety of skin colours. It's £52, which is quite expensive, I think, for that amount of product. But, you know, we know we're paying for the presentation, the pretty collector's item, and it is very wearable. So, you know, if you're in the market for a coral blush with an unusually toned highlighter, and I have a lot of highlighters, then this is a good one. So I would say this is my pick of the collection, to be honest. And that's because I'm not a huge fan of the eye palette, as it turns out. Now, there are two. I've got Golden Meadow, and of course I've forgotten and not written down, but I will put in the description box below what the other one is called. I dithered for quite a long time about which of the two palettes to get. They were far too similar for me to get both. I could see that they were both very warm. The other one looked to me to be darker and warmer even than this one. The advantage of it was that it had there a kind of white pink colour, so there was more variety in that sense. The disadvantage is it didn't have what I took to be this gold colour that I was quite attracted to. You can see that the other three colours I don't think are very distinguishable, to be honest. Obviously, the texture is different because this is clearly a satin with quite a lot of shimmer, and the others are as matte as Chanel tends to get. Now, let's have a little swatch. First of all, this gold that I was very into, and you can see there it looks, you know, it looks gold. It is gold with a kind of pinky undertone. I have to say, on my eyelids, however much or little I pack on, it looks kind of a bit tangerine. I don't know if you can see that. It's a very kind of coppery toned gold, shall we say, that isn't quite as flattering as I had hoped. And then this kind of pink satin, there again you can see very coppery. Now perhaps you can see there they do look different in the right light, very different, a more kind of rosy gold. This one to me is very similar to the single and indeed the kind of blusher highlighter that was out in the holiday collection. I didn't get that. I did get the eyeshadow. I should have pulled it out to show you. But very, very similar. I'd say this was slightly more pigmented, if anything. But again, the two of these on the lid just don't look that different. And then we've got the other two mattes. And you can see they're very pigmented, quite dense, terracotta-y shades. So that's the palette. Now it is summery. The pigmentation is good. You've clearly got, you know, these two different textures from these two, and you've got two mattes, which is, or used to be, very unusual with Chanel, getting a bit more usual with Lucia Pica. But there's something about this that I cannot get to work to look good on my eyes, I have to say. The first time I tried it, and the effect I got was just very kind of overall red. It made me think of this old Illusion d'Ombre, which we were all horrified about. Well, those of us who aren't professional makeup artists were horrified when it came out a few years ago. Rouge Gorge, rather, not Roux. You know, this terracotta-y red, which we were assured would make blue eyes pop. You can see mine's not as pigmented, probably through age now. It was a bit denser at the time. And that kind of colour does make blue eyes pop, but it's just, very startling, and I find a bit harsh on my older eyes. So I have to tell you, I don't think this is going to form a permanent part of my collection. I have tried it. I've looked around for illustrations on YouTube of people applying it better than I, which is not a difficult feat normally, because I'm not very professional with my makeup application. But partly I suspect because the US haven't got it, there aren't that many illustrations of it. Should I have got the other palette? Possibly. One factor here, because of the lack of the lighter colour, which I need in the inner corners of my eyes, just to brighten up where they're very dark now, I have to go to another palette, you know, first world problems, eh? Whereas that other quad would have had that. But I'm not sure that the colour palette other than that would have suited me any better. I think the truth is, when I think of spring, I like a kind of cooler toned, prettier, more pastel-y collection, and that's just my personal preference. Now, of course, I bought the nail varnishes. To me, star attraction I'm wearing, which is this red metallic. And this is Metallic Bloom that sold out briefly, but it's back on again. You can see a very gold metallic. You know how many nail polishes I've got. And I always think, well, there's going to be one that's like what I've already got. But of course, Chanel's Chanel. There's always a slight difference. In my mind, I thought immediately of Radiant Red, because that was a recent one with a metallic. But you can see a far more blue-toned red metallic. When I looked back, I'd forgotten about Flamboyance a few years ago, a more kind of micro shimmer, a bit nearer, but again, more mid-toned, less orangey, and more micro shimmer, although that tends not to show up on the nail as much. The actual tone is very close to a Arancia Vibrante, which we had the other summer, but that has no shimmer. So I couldn't find anything exactly the same or even that similar in my collection. It's not wearing brilliantly. The metallics never do they? But I haven't got a top coat on, which doesn't help. I have got undercoat. Then the other red is called Anthurium. I don't know what that means even. I'm thinking it might be a flower. And again, I thought, well, this is a kind of mid-blue-toned red cream. I've got to have one of these in my collection because God knows I've got enough drawers of Chanel reds. I immediately thought of April, but when I looked at that, it is much, much more plummy and blue-toned. Surprisingly, one of the nearest is Tapage. That's quite a few years ago. You can see there, they look very, very similar in the bottle. Some of you might have that. That's Tapage 605. Dragon is, you can see, a much more, well, not much, but slightly more mid-tone, darker red. And the other one that is pinkier but looked somewhat similar, Image Rose. I think Tapage is the closest. But of course, you know, they wouldn't bring it out if I was able to find one that I could put next to it that looked exactly the same, would they? And then the third colour, which only arrived yesterday, I'm least interested in, but you know I collect them. I don't wear a lot of these creamy nudes. What's this called? Pensée Thoughts. And it's a kind of yellow-toned pinky cream. I haven't tried this yet. There's often some problems. It immediately made me think of one that I haven't tried that was in the last collection, which is Égérie. But you can see that's a purer, cooler, pinker, but quite similar. Again, I've got drawers and drawers of these. There was nothing very recent that was that similar. A much older one is Pink Mink, and it's pearlized, but quite a similar tone. And I also thought the tone was most similar to this one, which is Pearl de Corée, but it's a pearl rather than a cream. So again, I didn't have anything that was exactly the same. But I mean, honestly, you know what nude suits your hand, I think. And if you got the one last autumn, then, and it suits you, I can't think you need both of them unless you're a collector like me. There are lipsticks, which, to be honest, I'm so lipsticks out at the moment, I didn't even look at. I think there's a lip lacquer as well. I've never got into those. There is a mascara in Le Volume, which is my all-time favourite formula. It's a kind of bronze. And again, I've kind of given up on anything other than black or very dark because it doesn't really show up on my dark lashes. So I didn't get that. I think that's about it. So overall, I'm not really that struck with this collection, I have to say. I don't know about the rest of you. The Star is probably the blush highlighter, but even that, I'm not sure, you know, if you're saving up for something else, the £52 is really worth it for that even. I'm a bit jaded, aren't I? The spring collections generally haven't really done it for me so far, but let's wait and see what they come out with next. Anyway, love to have your comments as always. Thumbs up, please, if you enjoyed it and you're still here, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.